Have you ever felt it? That quiet, gnawing feeling that you're living a life that isn't entirely yours? You're busy. Of course you're busy. Your calendar is a fortress of obligations. Your phone is a constant siren call of the urgent. You run, you strive, you achieve. You check the boxes, you climb the ladder. But then, in a quiet moment, late at night or in the stillness of an early morning, the question whispers from the depths of your soul. Is this it? Is this frantic motion? Progress? Is this ladder leaning against the right wall? You see glimpses of the person you want to be, the calm, centered parent, the visionary leader, the creative soul who doesn't just consume, but contributes, the friend who truly listens, the person who lives with integrity, whose private reality matches their public appearance. But there's a gap, painful, frustrating chasm between the person you are and the person you know deep down you were born to be. You try to close it with quick fixes, a new productivity app, a new diet, a promise to do better. But these are just bandages on a wound that's far deeper. There are attempts to change the fruit without ever tending to the root. And you are left standing at that crossroads, wondering if there's another way, a way to stop reacting to life and to start creating it. There is a map for that journey. It's not a collection of tips or tricks. It's not a personality hack. It's a profound, challenging, and deeply rewarding exploration of the very principles that govern human growth and fulfillment. It was written by a man named Stephen R. Covey, and it's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This book hasn't just sold millions of copies. It has quietly, fundamentally re-engineered the inner worlds of presidents, parents, artists, and entrepreneurs. Because it doesn't just tell you what to do, it shows you who to become. It speaks a language of character, not just achievement. Principles, not just practices. I first encountered these ideas not as a checklist, but as a lifeline. A way to understand why my best efforts were failing, and why my greatest successes felt hollow. It gave me a new lens through which to see myself, my relationships, and my purpose. It taught me that the most important changes don't happen on the outside. They begin in the silent, sacred space within. They happen inside out. This is not a summary. This is an invitation to walk the path, to feel the shifts in your own soul as we explore the architecture of an effective life. We are about to embark on that journey together. Here's the path we will walk. Part 1. Paradigms and Principles. Introduction. Inside Out. Chapter 1. The 7 Habits and Overview. Part 2. Private Victory. Habit 1. Be proactive. Chapter 3. Habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. Chapter 4. Habit 3. Put first things first. Part 3. Public Victory. Chapter 5. Paradigms of Interdependence. Chapter 6. Habit 4. Think win-win. Chapter 7. Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Chapter 8. Habit 6. Synergize. Part 4. Renewal. Chapter 9. Habit 7. Sharpen the saw. Chapter 10. Inside Out. Again. Let's begin this journey, one chapter at a time. Introduction. Inside Out. We live in a world that is obsessed with the outside, the personality ethic, Covey calls it. It's the world of the quick fix, the polished image. It's the right communication technique, the power look, the positive mental attitude. It's about making a good impression, about learning the skills to get others to like you, to get ahead in the game. It's all about the surface, the visible, the immediate. And it often works. For a while, but it's like cramming for an exam. You might pass the test, but you haven't learned the subject. You've addressed the symptom, but the disease remains. Because true effectiveness, the kind that lasts, the kind that builds happy families and thriving organizations and deeply fulfilling lives, that kind of effectiveness comes from a different place entirely. It comes from character, from who you are. This is the principle of Inside Out. It means that if you want to change your life, you must first change yourself. If you want to have a happy marriage, you must be the kind of person who generates love and trust. If you want to have a more responsible child, you must be a more consistent and understanding parent. If you want to have more freedom and trust at work, you must be a more responsible and trustworthy employee. It's a simple idea, but it's not an easy one. It requires us to look in the mirror and take responsibility. asks us to work on ourselves. First, our paradigms, our character, our motives. What is a paradigm? It's the map you use to navigate the world. It's not the world itself, just a representation of it. And what if your map is wrong? Imagine you're in Chicago, trying to find a specific address. You have a map, you're following it diligently, but you're getting nowhere. You're frustrated. You're blaming the city, the traffic, everything. Then, someone points out a simple, devastating fact. You're using a map of Detroit. Your effort is useless. Your positive attitude is useless. The problem isn't your behavior. It's the wrong map. Many of us are walking through life with the wrong maps. It's the map that says happiness is getting what I want. The map that says my value is determined by how I compare to others. The map that says my problems are all someone else's fault. The journey of the 7 habits is a journey of redrawing our maps. It's a process of paradigm shifts. Seeing the world and ourselves, not as we've been conditioned to see it, but as it really is. It's about aligning our personal maps with the timeless principles that govern reality. Principles like fairness, integrity, human dignity, and growth. This is the promise of the inside-out approach. It's not about fixing your marriage. It's about becoming a better partner. It's not about manipulating your team to be more productive. It's about becoming a more inspiring leader. The work is internal. The results are external. And that is where we must begin. Chapter 1, The 7 Habits and Overview. So what are these habits? They're not a disconnected bundle of good ideas. They're a framework. It's an integrated system of growth, moving us along a continuum from dependence to independence to interdependence. Think of it like this. When we are born, we are completely dependent. We rely on others for everything. This is the paradigm of you. You take care of me. You come through for me. You didn't come through for me, so I blame you for the results. Then as we grow, we strive for independence. This is the paradigm of I. I can do it. I am responsible. I am self-reliant. I can choose. This is the great liberation of the American dream, the ideal of the self-made individual, and it is essential. But it is not the ultimate goal. Life is, by its very nature, interdependent. We are not islands. To create a family, to build a business, to compose a symphony, to live in a society, we must rely on each other. The highest level of maturity is interdependence. This is the paradigm of we. We can do it. We can cooperate. We can combine our talents and abilities to create something greater together. The first 3 habits are about achieving independence. They are the private victory. Habit 1, be proactive. The habit of personal responsibility. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind. The habit of personal vision. Habit 3, put first things first. The habit of personal management. You cannot achieve the public victory before the private victory. Can't think we effectively if you haven't mastered I. Can't build a trusting relationship with others if you can't keep promises to yourself. The roots must be strong before the branches can bear fruit. The next 3 habits are about achieving interdependence. They are the public victory. Habit 4, think win-win. The habit of mutual benefit. Habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. The habit of empathic communication. Habit 6, synergize. The habit of creative cooperation. And finally, there is one habit to renew them all, to keep the whole system growing and improving. Habit 7, sharpen the saw. The habit of self-renewal. This isn't a program of the week. It's an upward spiral of growth. You revisit the habits again and again, but at a higher and higher level. You learn to be proactive about your marriage. Then you learn to synergize with your partner on a deeper level. Then you sharpen the saw together as a couple. It never ends. Because effectiveness is not a destination. It is a direction. It is a principle-centered life. Chapter 2. Habit 1. Be proactive. Look at the word responsibility. See the 2 words inside it. Responsibility. The ability to choose your response. This is the foundation of everything. Between what happens to you and how you react to it, there is a space. It's a tiny, sacred pause. In that space lies our power to choose our response. And in that choice lies our growth, our freedom, and our humanity. Most of us live our lives as reactive beings. We are driven by feelings, by circumstances, by conditions, by the environment. If the weather is good, we feel good. Someone treats us well, we're happy. If we hit a red light, we're angry. Our emotional life is a roller coaster controlled by 1,000 external forces. Our language betrays us. That's just the way I am. He makes me so mad. I have to do this. I can't. This is the language of victimhood. It transfers responsibility. It's the language of a pawn, not a player. The proactive person understands a fundamental truth. No one can make you feel anything. You and you alone are the architect of your feelings. You are the one in charge. The ultimate story of this is Viktor Frankl, the Austrian psychiatrist imprisoned in the Nazi death camps. They took everything from him. His family, his possessions, his freedom, his identity tattooed on his arm. They controlled his entire environment. They could inflict any pain on his body, but there was one thing, Frankl realized, they could never take away: his freedom to choose his response. In the midst of the most horrific suffering imaginable, he chose. He chose to find meaning. He chose to imagine himself lecturing to students after the war, teaching the lessons he was learning. He chose to be a source of strength for others, giving away his last piece of bread. He discovered the last of the human freedoms in that space between stimulus and response. You and I may never face what Frankl faced, but we face our own stimuli every single day. The critical email, moody teenager, the economic downturn, the driver who cuts you off in traffic. In that space, that sacred pause, what will you choose? Will you react, giving away your power? Or will you respond, based on your values? To be proactive is to take initiative. It's not about being pushy or aggressive. It's about recognizing our responsibility to make things happen. It means that when we make a mistake, we acknowledge it, we correct it, and we learn from it. We don't blame or accuse. It means focusing our energy on the things we can actually influence, our circle of influence rather, than wasting it on our wider circle of concern, where we have little or no control. Reactive people focus on the problems out there, the government, their spouse's weaknesses, the economy. Their energy is negative, and their circle of influence shrinks. Proactive people focus on what they can do. They work on themselves. They are a source of positive energy, and their circle of influence grows. So ask yourself, where is your focus? Are you waiting for the world to change? Or are you being the change? The first step on the path to an effective life is to claim your power, your responsibility. You are the driver, not the passenger. You're the creator, not the creature of circumstance. Be proactive. Chapter 3. Habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. I want you to do something with me now. It might feel a little strange, but I ask you to trust the process. Find a quiet place. Close your eyes. I want you to imagine yourself walking into a funeral home. You see the flowers, you hear the soft music, you see the faces of friends and family. You walk to the front of the room, and you look inside the casket, and you see yourself. This is your funeral. 3 years from now, take a seat and look at the program in your hand. There are 4 speakers. The first is a member of your family, your spouse, your child, your parent, your sibling. The second is one of your dearest friends. The third is a colleague from your work or profession. The fourth is from your church or a community organization where you served. Now think deeply. What would you want each of these speakers to say about you, about your life? What kind of husband, wife, father, or mother would you want their words to reflect? What kind of son or daughter? What kind of friend? What kind of coworker? What character would you want them to have seen in you? What contributions, what achievements would you want them to remember? Take a moment. Really think about it. The words that are coming to your mind right now. They are the definition of your success. They are your end in mind. All things are created twice. Think about a building. It's created first in the mind of the architect as a blueprint. This is the mental creation. Then, and only then, is it physically constructed. This is the physical creation. If you don't have a clear blueprint, you'll have expensive changes and rework during construction. You might even build the wrong building. It's the same with your life. Habit 1 says, you are the creator. Habit 2 is the first creation. It's the blueprint. If you do not consciously create your own life's blueprint, then by default, you allow other people and circumstances to shape your life for you. You let your old scripts, your parents' expectations, your boss's agenda, the pressures of the day, become your blueprint. To begin with the end in mind is to have a clear vision of your destination. It means knowing where you're going so that you can better understand where you are now, and so that the steps you take are always in the right direction. The most effective way to do this is to develop a personal mission statement, constitution for your life. It's not something you write in an afternoon. It is a process of deep introspection, connecting with your innermost values and principles. It answers the big questions. What is my purpose? What do I stand for? What matters most to me? Your mission statement becomes your standard, your personal constitution. In the face of difficult decisions, you can consult it. When you are feeling lost or pulled in a dozen different directions, it is your anchor. It gives you the unchanging core from which you can navigate the ever-changing chaos of life. Without this center, you become other-centered, spouse-centered, money-centered, work-centered, friend-centered. Your sense of worth and security rises and falls with the whims of these things. But when you are principle-centered, you have a solid, unshakable foundation. So, go back to that funeral. The eulogy you imagined for yourself, that is your mission. Now, the work begins. To write it down, to refine it, and to live it every day. Because if the ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster. Chapter 4. Habit 3. Put first things first. Habit 1 said, you are the programmer. Habit 2 is about writing the program, your personal mission. Habit 3 is about running the program. It is the second creation, the physical creation. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's the habit of personal management. It's the discipline of carrying out your vision day by day, moment by moment. And this is where most of us fail. We have noble intentions. We have goals. But we are drowned by the relentless tide of the urgent. Think about everything you do in a day. You can separate it all into two categories: urgent and important. Urgent things are reactive. They press on us. A ringing phone is urgent. A deadline is urgent. Most of us live in a state of constant reaction to the urgent. Important things are proactive. They have to do with results, with our mission, our values, our high-priority goals. Nurturing relationships is important. Planning for the future is important. Exercise is important. Deep, creative work is important. But they rarely, if ever, scream for our attention. We can visualize this with a matrix, divided into 4 quadrants. Quadrant I is for activities that are both urgent and important. Crises, pressing problems, deadline-driven projects. We all have to spend time here, but many people are consumed by it. They are crisis managers, firefighters. The stress burns them out. Quadrant 3 is urgent, but not important. These are the great deceivers. The interruptions, some calls, some emails, popular activities. They feel important because they are urgent, but they are usually about someone else's priorities. People who spend their time here are chasing short-term focus and feel out of control. Quadrant 4 is not urgent and not important. This is the quadrant of waste. Trivia, busy work, time wasters. We escape here for survival when we're burned out from quadrants I and 3. And then, there is Quadrant 2. Quadrant 2 is the heart of effective personal management. It is important, but not urgent. This is where the real work happens. Prevention, planning, building relationships. Recreation, sharpening the saw. This is the quadrant of quality, of vision, of balance. Effective people are not problem-minded. They're opportunity-minded. They feed opportunities and starve problems. Stay out of quadrants 3 and 4, and they shrink Quadrant I by spending more time in Quadrant 2. Living in Quadrant 2 requires a different kind of thinking. It requires you to be proactive. It requires you to say no to the urgent but unimportant. And saying no can be incredibly difficult. We don't want to offend. We don't want to miss out. But when you have a deep yes burning inside you, your mission, your end in mind, it becomes much easier to say no to the things that don't matter. You can say no with a smile because you are saying yes to something far more important. The key is not to prioritize your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. The tool for this is weekly organizing, not daily planning, which is too myopic. At the beginning of each week, you look at your mission statement. You look at your roles: parent, spouse, manager, individual. You set 1 or 2 key quadrant 2 goals for each role. And then you schedule those priorities into your week. You put the big rocks in your jar first. Then, as the urgent things of life, the crises of quadrant I, inevitably appear, you can adapt. But you've already carved out the time for what truly matters. This is the discipline that brings your vision to life. It is the day-in, day-out practice of living with integrity, where your actions align with your deepest values. This is the private victory. And only from this place of personal integrity can we move into the world of relationships. Chapter 5. Paradigms of Interdependence. Once you have achieved the private victory, once you have learned to be the master of your own ship, you are ready to sail into the open waters of life with others. This is the move from independence to interdependence. You can't build a deep, lasting, effective relationship on a foundation of character weakness. If you are reactive, if you don't know what you stand for, if you can't manage yourself, then every interaction with others will be fraught with insecurity and blame. You'll be trying to build something beautiful on shifting sand. But from a foundation of independence, of security, of integrity, everything changes. The key metaphor here is the emotional bank account. Just like a financial bank account, you can make deposits into and withdrawals from your relationships with others. When the account is high, trust is high. Communication is easy, instant, and effective. You can make mistakes, and the high balance will cushion the withdrawal. When the account is overdrawn, trust is low. Every interaction is tense. You're walking on eggshells. Your words are parsed and misinterpreted. The relationship is fragile and exhausting. So how do we make deposits? It's the small daily kindnesses and courtesies. It's keeping the promises you make. It's clarifying expectations so there are no misunderstandings. It's showing personal integrity, being loyal to those who are not present. It's apologizing sincerely when you make a withdrawal. And one of the biggest deposits of all, seeking first to understand the other person, truly listening. This is the paradigm shift required for the public victory. It's understanding that life is not a competition. Success doesn't have to mean that someone else fails. There is enough for everyone, and our greatest achievements come not from fighting over a limited pie, but from working together to make the pie bigger. This is the mindset of abundance, and it is the soil in which the next 3 habits grow. Chapter 6. Habit 4. Think win-win. What is your default frame of mind when you enter a negotiation? A disagreement? A relationship? For many of us, conditioned from birth by school grades, by sports, by corporate hierarchies, the script is win-lose. If I win, you lose. My success comes at the expense of your success. Life is a zero-sum game. It's the paradigm of the arm wrestle. Or, if we're a different kind of person, we might default to lose-win. Go ahead. Have your way. Step on me again. Everyone else does. This is the doormat mentality. It buries feelings, and buried feelings never die. They fester and come out later in ugly ways. Some people even think lose-lose. If I'm going down, you're coming with me. It's the philosophy of war, of revenge. And then there's win. People with the win mentality don't necessarily want someone else to lose. That's irrelevant. They just want to get what they want. But there is a higher way, a better way. Think win-win. It's not a technique. It's a total philosophy of human interaction. It's a frame of mind and heart that constantly seeks mutual benefit in all human interactions. Win-win means that agreements or solutions are mutually beneficial, mutually satisfying. With a win-win solution, all parties feel good about the decision and feel committed to the action plan. Win-win sees life as a cooperative, not a competitive arena. This requires 2 character traits in abundance. First, integrity. You have to know what you value, what your win looks like. You have to be true to your feelings, your values, and your commitments. Second, maturity. This is the balance between courage and consideration. The courage to state your own needs and feelings, and the consideration to respect the needs and feelings of others. A lot of people think in dichotomies. You're either tough or you're nice. But win-win requires you to be both. To be tough on the issue, but soft on the person. To get to win-win, you have to shift your perspective. You have to see the problem from the other person's point of view. You have to identify the key issues and concerns. You have to determine what results would constitute a fully acceptable solution. You have to identify new options to achieve those results. But what if you can't reach a win-win? What if the other person is determined to play win-lose? Then you go for the highest form of win-win, which is win-win or no deal. No deal basically means that if we can't find a solution that would benefit both of us, we agree to disagree agreeably. No deal, no contract, no expectation. We don't try to manipulate or push our own agenda. We preserve the relationship. And this is powerful. The moment you are willing to walk away, you have a tremendous amount of freedom and power. You are no longer a victim of their agenda. Think about your most important relationships. Are they built on a foundation of win-win? Or is there a quiet, constant battle for supremacy? To build a life of interdependence, of deep and meaningful connection, you must have the courage and consideration to build solutions where everyone walks away a winner, because anything less over the long term is a loss for everyone. Chapter 7. Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. You have a problem with your eyes? You go to an optometrist? You start to explain your situation, and before you're 2 sentences in, he takes off his own glasses, hands them to you and says, "Here, try these. They've worked for me for years. I have an extra pair at home. You can just keep them." You put them on, but they only make the problem worse. "This is terrible," you say. "I can't see a thing." "Well, what's wrong?" he asks, annoyed. "They work great for me. Try harder." You'd never go back to that optometrist, would you? This is how we interact in our communications every single day. We diagnose before we prescribe. We speak before we listen. We are so full of our own rightness, our own autobiography, that we fail to see the world through the other person's eyes. We listen with the intent to reply, not with the intent to understand. We are filtering everything through our own paradigms, our own experiences. We're either agreeing or disagreeing. We're preparing our next sentence while they're still talking. We practice what Covey calls autobiographical listening. We evaluate. We judge and either agree or disagree. We probe. We ask questions from our own frame of reference. We advise. We give counsel based on our own experience. We interpret. We try to figure people out, to explain their motives based on our own. This is not listening. This is a form of conversational narcissism. Habit 5 is the most powerful habit for building a high emotional bank account. It is the habit of empathic listening. Empathic listening is not just hearing the words. It's listening with your eyes, with your heart. You listen for feeling, for meaning. You are so focused on the other person that for a moment, you forget yourself. You climb inside their frame of reference. You see the world the way they see it. You understand their paradigm. You understand how they feel. The essence of empathic listening is not that you agree with someone. It's that you fully, deeply understand them, emotionally and intellectually. It's a huge deposit in the emotional bank account. It's so validating, so affirming to the other person. You are giving them psychological air. Once a person feels understood, a magical thing happens. Their defensiveness melts away. They become open, trusting, and willing to be influenced. Only then, once you have truly understood, can you effectively work on being understood. This is the second half of the habit. It requires the courage we talked about in Habit 4. You present your ideas clearly, logically, and most importantly in the context of your deep understanding of their needs and concerns. You are no longer to people talking at each other. You are to people working on a problem together. Think of the last argument you had. Did you feel heard? Did the other person feel heard? Or were you just reloading for your next verbal assault? The next time you find yourself in a disagreement, try this. Make a commitment to not speak your own case until you can restate the other person's position to their complete satisfaction. See what happens. It will feel like a revolution. It is the key that unlocks win-win solutions and the magic of the next habit. Chapter 8. Habit 6. Synergize. What is synergy? Simply defined, it means that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. 1 + 1 = 3, or 10, or 100. This is the habit of creative cooperation. It's the magic that happens when people who have mastered the previous habits come together. Synergy is not the same as compromise. In a compromise, 1 + 1 = 1.5. Both parties give something up. It's a low form of win-win. Synergy is about creating a third alternative, new solution that is better than what either of you came up with on your own. It's a creative process. It's exciting. It's transformative. This is the ultimate fruit of the 7 habits. It requires a foundation of proactivity, requires a clear end in mind and a shared purpose. It requires you to focus on what's truly important. And it flows directly from the public victory habits. When you have a win-win attitude and you are skilled at empathic communication, you create the perfect environment for synergy. You value the differences. This is the key. The reactive person sees difference as a threat. The proactive, synergistic person sees difference as a resource. They understand that if 2 people have the same opinion, one of them is unnecessary. It is the differences in perspective, in experience, in style that provide the raw material for creation. When you communicate synergistically, you are not defensive. You are not protective. You are open. You are creative. You're genuinely seeking to understand the other person. You are genuinely seeking to create a new solution that works for everyone. Think of a brainstorming session where the ideas just flow. No one is judging. Everyone is building on each other's thoughts. Energy in the room is palpable, and we leave with ideas that no single person could have conceived of alone. It is synergy. It happens in a family that works together to solve a problem, where every member, from the oldest to the youngest, feels heard and contributes to the solution. It happens in a business team that respects its members' diverse talents and creates a breakthrough product. Synergy is a principle of nature. The different plants and animals in an ecosystem work together to create a richer, more resilient environment than any of them could create alone. To live this habit is to embark on an adventure. You never know exactly where you're going to end up, but you know it will be better than where you started. You step into the unknown, trusting the process and trusting the people you are with. You let go of the need to be right and embrace the desire to create what is best. It is the highest and most challenging habit, but it is where the miracles happen. Chapter 9. Habit 7. Sharpen the saw. This story is a perfect metaphor for our lives. We are the woodcutter. The saw is our instrument, our capacity to produce, our very self. And too often, we are too busy sawing, working, producing, parenting, living to take the time to sharpen the saw. Habit 7 is the habit that makes all the other habits possible. It's the habit of personal renewal. It is the single most powerful investment we can ever make in life, investment in ourselves. There are 4 dimensions to our nature, and each one must be regularly and consistently sharpened. First is the physical dimension. This is about caring for your physical body. It's about effective eating, getting adequate rest and relaxation, and exercising regularly. This isn't about becoming a world-class athlete. It's about building the strength, flexibility, and endurance to live your life with energy and vitality. It is a quadrant 2, activity important but not urgent, that pays incredible dividends in every area of your life. Second is the spiritual dimension. This is your core, your center, your commitment to your value system. It's a source of guidance and peace. You can sharpen this saw through prayer, through meditation, through immersing yourself in great literature or music, or by spending time in nature. It's about taking the time to connect with the why of your life, to revisit your personal mission. Third is the mental dimension. This is about continuing your education, expanding your mind. Many of us, our minds atrophy after we finish formal schooling. We stop reading seriously. We stop writing. We stop thinking critically and exploring new subjects. Sharpening the mental saw means a commitment to lifelong learning. It's reading broadly and deeply. It's keeping a journal of your thoughts and insights. It's planning and visualizing. It's engaging with minds that challenge your own. Fourth is the social-emotional dimension. This dimension is centered on the principles of habits for 5 and 6. It's about building and renewing your relationships. It's making those deposits in the emotional bank accounts of others. It's practicing empathic listening. It's seeking synergistic outcomes. It's unlike the other 3 dimensions. This one doesn't take dedicated time in the same way. We can practice it every day in our normal interactions with others. The key to sharpening the saw is balance. To neglect any one area is to negatively impact all the others. If you're burned out physically, it's hard to be patient emotionally. If you're spiritually adrift, it's hard to find the motivation for mental growth. This is the ultimate quadrant 2 activity. No one is going to force you to do it. It will never feel as urgent as the ringing phone. but it is the single most important activity for long-term effectiveness. It is the habit of the upward spiral. When you take the time to sharpen the saw, you create a spiral of growth, of continuous improvement. You learn, you commit, and you do on a higher and higher plane. And so we come full circle, back to the beginning, inside out. The journey through the 7 habits is not about becoming a different person. It is about uncovering the person you have always been. It's about chipping away the reactive, insecure, dependent layers that society and our own choices have built up to reveal the proactive, principle-centered, and capable core within. It's an intergenerational gift. When one person in a family, one leader in an organization begins to live these principles, they create a ripple effect. They change the emotional and psychological weather around them. They become what Covey calls a transition figure, someone who stops the negative scripts from being passed down from generation to generation. They stop the blame, the abuse, the victimhood, and start a legacy of responsibility, of love, of synergy. This is not easy work. There will be days when you fall back into old patterns, days when you are reactive, days when you fail to listen, days when you forget your end in mind. That is part of the process. The upward spiral is not a smooth, unbroken curve. It has dips and setbacks. The key is to get back up, to recommit, to sharpen the saw, and begin again. The promise of this journey is not a life free of problems. It is a life where you have the capacity to meet your problems with wisdom, grace, and strength. It's a life of meaning, of purpose, and of deep connection. A life where the chasm between who you are and who you want to be finally begins to close. The map is in your hands now. The compass is your conscience, your principles. The destination is a life of your own conscious design. The path is waiting. If this journey has spoken to you, if a chapter or a single idea has echoed in a quiet part of your soul, know that you are not alone. This is the shared work of being human, the work of growing, of connecting, and of contributing. The conversation doesn't have to end here. The comments below can be a space for us to share our own journeys, our own struggles, and insights with these timeless principles, a place to learn from one another. And if you wish to continue walking this path together, exploring more of life's great maps, consider joining our community by subscribing. We are all just travelers, helping each other find the way home. Thank you for sharing this time. Walk well.